So I had a viewer comment on last week's video and said, I am tired of watching you work on the 6-acre yard project. When are you going to do something else? And believe me, I get it. I'm ready for the sun to set on that project as well. So I'm not going to bore you with that stuff, but I am going to run down there and pick up the skid loader because it's been 12 days since we planted the grass and I can't wait to see what it looks like. So in this video, I thought I'd share what I've been up to since finishing up that job down there, what projects we've got hopefully coming up on the channel, and unfortunately I'm going to have to say goodbye to an old friend, most likely. But I'll bring you up to speed here in just a little bit. Oh, and hopefully we'll see what that grass looks like down there. If there is grass.
Dig Drive DIY!
So one of the things that I really like to do that I haven't got to do lately is simply mow the yard. Luckily, Kara's been taking care of it for me while I've been away, but I just find it relaxing. It's the one thing that I feel like I can do that is both productive and lazy at the same time. It's kind of like running heavy equipment, I guess, but with even less thinking. Sometimes we even fight over who gets to mow. Anybody else feel like that about mowing? But in less than 2 hours, the mowing break was over, and it was time to get to some of the same old yard tasks. Whenever the wind blows around here, the trees give us endless opportunities to stay busy. Sometimes I wonder how the trees still have any branches on them, considering how many we've picked up over the years, but whenever we've had a bunch of sticks to pick up, thankfully the girls get involved and help, and they always have from an early age. It usually doesn't take as long as you'd think, and it gave us a chance for a really nice hot fire. The dry sticks were just what we needed to burn up some of those old boxes and maybe put a dent in that old leaf pile. Plus, Kara finally got her wish. After using these old dump truck sideboards to load and unload the disc, I felt they had finally served me enough times to cut them up and throw them on the fire. I'll probably wish I had them for something else come next week, I'm sure. It never fails like that. But speaking of a good hot fire, you're going to need one if you want to burn up any green wood. And Kara had set her sights on some low-hanging branches that were getting pretty close to the house. Plus, I've been looking for a good excuse to try out my new battery-powered pole saw, but it didn't take long to go from I can't wait to use this to I can't wait to be done with this stupid thing. You know, I think it gets heavier the longer you use it apparently, but it was a good workout and it needed to be done. So it was one more thing off the list. Something that's never on the actual to-do list, but come fall time has a phantom spot at the top, is leaf harvest. Our 3 hackberry trees start dropping their leaves in about August, a full month or more before the maple trees. And it's almost a daily thing to blow the leaves off the patio and the concrete. It's easier just to keep up with it a little bit every day here and there than it is to let them get too deep. And right now, if I blow them out into the yard, the lawnmower will take care of them, so until all the leaves start dropping, we'll just do it that way, and then I'll finally break out the 755 with the leaf harvester. About this time every year, I'm also reminded that I never did anything about those gutter guards I've been meaning to install for about the last decade or so. For some reason, that's one of those things that makes so much sense to me, but I just haven't put the energy into getting it done. I told myself, though, I'd have it done by next year, or maybe at least before I turn 50. That gives me 2 years, I guess. And as accustomed as we are to cleaning up leaves, we do have something new this year. Leaves and debris in the pond is something we'll definitely have to contend with. We knew we would, and I'm sure Mr. Roboto here won't get them all, but how much actually gets into the pond all depends on the wind direction. Fingers crossed that the wind takes them in the opposite direction, and that wind starts getting fierce this time of year. I think we're done with the umbrellas for the season, so we'll put those away, but hopefully we get to add some more names to the visitor board inside the pool house come this winter. The girls think it'd be fun to have an ice skating party, and well, I think that would be just swell. The routine chores were about done, so it was time to have a look at Kara's honey-do list. She's got some bigger home remodel projects coming up that I'll be sharing with you in a future video, but for now, she wanted me to rework that stupid doggy door on the front of the blockhouse. The old rubber flapper I had put on there had gotten rigid, and it didn't seal up at all in the winter. We had it all boarded up and closed, so we thought we'd try a new fancy one with one of those magnetic closures at the bottom. Problem is, the old hole in the door was a bit too big. Well, Mama was finally content now after a week or so of catching up on chores, so I started to think about my long list of projects to do. You know, when I was mowing the yard, I noticed a bunch of wasps. They were swarming around the old Bronco, so I thought I better investigate. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Oh. Now that I'm paying a little bit more attention to this Bronco, I've realized that I parked this here beside the barn 3 years ago already. It's amazing how fast time goes. I moved it here after it had been in storage for a long time at the neighbor's barn, and I thought I would get to working on it. But, well, life gets busy, and you've seen what I've been up to, and here it sits. It's always sitting here looking all sad and lonely in the background of so many of my other videos, and it prompts a lot of viewers to ask questions about it. And viewers that are newer to the channel probably don't know the story of this Bronco. I've had it longer than pretty much anything else around here, even longer than my wife, Kara. We used to go to the Silver Lake sand dunes in Michigan with it every year in the late 90s and early 2000s, and had a ton of fun up there with my buddies and their trucks too. The Bronco's got a hopped up 460 under the hood, a Detroit locker in the rear end, and just the right gear ratio to really snap your head back when you mash the gas. This thing is a beast, and it sounds awesome. It is just fun every time I fire it up. And there was a time about 15 years ago when I thought about getting rid of it. But now it's been around so long, I can't stand the thought of seeing it go. It's in pretty rough shape though. The body, I mean. The engine runs great. Well, it ran great when I parked it 3 years ago, that is. But lately, I've been daydreaming about fixing it up. These things are kind of back in style, but I wonder if it's something I can actually get done. I struggled with the F750 to work on that, so what makes me think I can get this done? I realized many years ago that the body was shot. There is no way I'd be interested in trying to do a restoration on this body. It's just too far gone in too many places. Even if I replaced the fenders and the doors and the door jambs, the floor and the underside are all toast too. So knowing that, I made an investment a couple years ago. After going out to the Utah desert to visit Matt's Off-Road Recovery, I met a buddy of Matt's and we got to talking about old vintage trucks, and I told him I had a 79 Bronco that I'd really like to find a rust-free body for. And well, he thought he could hook me up, and he did. This Bronco came from Arizona, and it is in far better shape than mine. Of course, it's not perfect, but it has really good bones and the tub is in great shape, so this would make a much better start than my truck. And I don't have to feel bad about this one being a donor truck either, because someone has already transplanted this body onto a different chassis. This 79 is on a 95 or 96 Bronco frame. The person that had it quit on their project about halfway through, and so I was able to get this a lot cheaper than I would have been able to buy something that was all original from 79. So I'm hoping that I can use this body and my driveline and chassis and make two into one good one. But like I said, is it something I should even try to tackle? I guess if my Bronco will fire up one more time and it'll move under its own power, then I'll make up my mind. So we'll just have to see. So I'm almost down here to the job site, but I have been thinking about that Bronco a lot. Been looking at a lot of pictures online, and of course, you know, once you search for one 79 Bronco picture, then you're presented with hundreds of them. I think once I get this skid loader picked up and bring it back home, I'm going to try to see if I can get the Bronco running, and then I'll really make up my mind. If it still runs fine, yeah, well, we'll just see. I can't wait to see what this grass looks like though. Oh boy. Waving at these Amish kids. They're in a buggy right here. Man, I am seeing green grass. Oh my. Wow, it's really, looks like I got a pretty even stand. Okay, I'm gonna back in here and then we'll get a closer look. There's a swale I redid. It's not looking too bad. Can't get off the driveway anymore now. You gotta keep her in between the rows here. Alright, let's go have a closer look. So I can tell a big difference between the areas of the field that hadn't been disturbed during the construction and areas that have been disturbed. that up there is a real mixture of different soil types. And plus I had to rob some topsoil from down here to have enough to put up there. You can tell grass is coming in there. It's just sparse. That really growing around there where the straw was. They had planted that a few days prior to me planting the rest. Looking pretty good behind the house. I made a pass right there like it is. This is the existing grass that was here, obviously mixed in with new grass. This looks good back here in the back. Out front, it's looking pretty good. That's nice and green. There's one spot way out there. It's not too bad. You can tell where the rain rippled this a little bit. Water moving, but the grass all came up. This was double seeded. It's not terrible. Could be worse. We hit the rain and I mean, they got a pretty good stand in 10 or 12 days. So I'm happy with that. This is still really soft here. Wow. I'm not gonna be able to spread. I was gonna spread the broadcast on top of this, but it's too soft. I'm interested to see what it looks like out back. This came in good back here. That looks nice along the barn there too. All right, they got grass. We didn't get anything up against the building, but actually I would prefer not to have it up against the building anyway, so that's probably all right. We had a little bit of an erosion situation here. This washed out, but John's got this hooked up now to where it might not blast that out this time, but this is tough up here because this is a lot of fill, and they've dug around in here a lot too, so you can tell a big difference in just soil type for sure. Little erosion there. That'll need doctored up. At least this is on the side of the building that, you know, isn't in plain sight of all visitors and guests and whatnot. But I don't know, let's take a look from the air, and then I'm gonna get this skid loader loaded up and we'll head back home, see if we can get that Bronco fired up. All right, that's looking good, all chained down. You know, that actually looks way better from the ground than it does from the drone. So we're just gonna stick to eye level right now. But I wanna head home and see if I can get that Bronco running, and then we'll make some decisions. This thing has always started for me, no matter how long it's sat. I don't remember how many years it sat the last time prior to starting it up, but it has been 3 years since it's ran. So I'm hoping just a little drink and a good strong battery, and it might go. Not getting any gas, so I took the fuel line off the pump right there, and the tank's got about 7 or 8 gallons in it, so I'm gonna blow air in both ends. All right, it seems open. I blew through it, and it felt like it kind of popped loose when I blew from the fuel pump back. So wishful thinking maybe, but I'm gonna crank it some more, see if I can get fuel up here at the filter. It's not bringing any gas up into that filter housing yet. Go ahead and crank it. Now it's got gas. extra thirsty. Okay, past the first test, we gotta put some air in these tires. Tires are pumping up, I'm gonna move some of this stuff. Still rips. And it's smaller than the motorhome. Well, you can't get something done if you never get it started. And I had made up my mind if this thing starts up and runs again, I was going to back it in the shop and work on it when I can. My goal is to try to work on something every day. The only caveat being just when I'm home. If I'm out of town or on vacation, I'm not going to worry about it. But if I'm here, I'm going to take out a bolt, pump up a tire, do something every day to keep progress moving on the Bronco. It worked on Bruno. So hopefully it'll work on Bronco. I've had a lot of people ask me when I was going to work on this, so I think there's interest in it. I don't know, drop a comment down below, let me know if you want to see the Bronco done, or let me know if you're not interested in that kind of stuff. But it's not going to be every video, it's going to be just a background project that I try to get done over time. My goal is to drive this thing with my girls before they're old enough themselves to drive, because I figure they're not going to want to ride along anymore once that happens. But my goal is to get it done, maybe in a year's time, and maybe paint it to match my dump trucks. It's kind of the inspiration for the dump trucks. I'll put it that way for now. So no, I'm not going to say goodbye to this old friend. I did say goodbye to an old friend though. Matter of fact, a friend of 15 years has left us. I got my first Android phone in 2009. So I have spent 15 years using Android phones and really haven't had any problem with them. No complaints, other than they make it terribly difficult to transfer videos and photos to my Mac computers. So, 2024 is finally the time. I really like the Mac computers that I have now, the Apple computers. I've got a MacBook and an iMac desktop for editing. And I really want to be able to record on my phone and then just airdrop it to my MacBook or my iMac. Because I've done some of that with other people that have iPhones, and it's wonderful. There it is, natural titanium, iPhone 16 Pro. Do a little. Okay. Well, I'm not an iPhone user yet, but it's coming pretty shortly. All right, let's get this all set up. So yeah, after over 15 years of Android phones, I finally made the jump and switched to an iPhone. You know, when they went to the USB-C, that was really enticing to me, and that AirDrop feature between the phone and the iMac and the MacBook Pro, that is really what sealed the deal. It's going to make my workflow so much easier. As a matter of fact, I shot this entire video on this iPhone right here. In 4K, by the way. So it was just an experiment. You can let me know how that turned out too, but I'm really tickled with how it works, and as someone making videos, this is really handy. But that should bring you up to date on everything that's going on, projects past, projects yet to be, and well, I just want to thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope that you liked it, and if I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Can you hear that tire leaking? Look at what all you can do. It's just got a ring.